Welcome. You know, last sessions are sometimes problematic, I know it, because you have less people. But here, yeah, I have a lot of respect. So you come here to see what's going on. Yeah, you see my subject is almost covering everything nowadays we are talking about. So it will be like 2 days of a session. Yeah, get prepared for it. I'm ready with my rich content. Yeah, okay, this is always, I say it like that, I am coming from the dark side. So I started my employment with software development. Sorry for the guys. Then I switched. I'm not like Anakin Skywalker. He did the reverse. He was on the good side first, then he switched to dark side. In my case, I was the opposite. So finally I reached my point, destination point. So I also try to, in my spare time, if I find some time, I try to write down some books. By the way, don't be afraid. Those books are the ones that you can read them with your grandfather, grandmother, even with your children, you know. Very easy to read. Because I think in software testing industry, people are doing great job on you know, writing down the technical books. So no space left for me. I am the one who is writing down the funny ones. So here are your copies. Hopefully you will come and take. Otherwise, you know, I'm offended if you don't come and take. It's not good. Okay, so my fourth book, by the way, I'm writing early adopters. Yes, very nice. I love you. By the way, all ladies, you know, it's always like that, guys. We have the same destiny. Okay, so my fourth book, by the way, is about my experience. Is all about my experience, but that one is specifically I write it for the funny conversations I have been into. And one conversation I remember, I was a test manager in a company. I shouldn't tell the company name. And I was working like hell. And my supervisor, you know, he told me, okay, yeah, you are really earning very less. So how can we set this up? And let me ask for a, how can I, salary increase for you? And finally he made it. He applied for the salary increase. And I was expecting to have my salary, the new salary, because he was telling me good things. Okay, it will be accepted. But in the end, it is rejected by Human Resources Department. Then I become really angry. I went to the door, knocked the door. He was the HR director. You know, that time is my first time I faced with simplicity. When I entered the room, I asked him, they told me that you have rejected my salary increase. He told me with a great confidence, he told me, yes, of course. Do you know why I did that? I said, no, why? He said, because you deserve a better increase. I was like a small kid, you know, shocked a little bit in the first seconds. Then I said, okay, thank you. And then I go away. And in the end, I never have any salary increase in that company. A perfect way to, you know, convince people under you. Very nice. But, you know, simplicity works. But it's hard to achieve, I know it. Okay, I have some ideas. I think all of you have really great ideas about testing. My ideas, I try to combine them a little bit. It starts with a very strong and aggressive sentence. Life is a test. Yes. Yeah. Agree it or not. This is my idea, you know. Sorry, I cannot change it. But, you know, every day of your life, from night till dawn, whatever, you are doing some kind of test. You test your kids, you test your supervisors, you test Windows, you test the temperature, whatever. I think it is from that perspective, this is like a natural science that is embedded into our genetic code. And do you know where the very first testing happened in human history? Okay, my sentence is every human is a tester, yes. And the very first humans that are testers are Adam and Eve, you know. God first told them not to eat that apple because he told them, okay, this is the garden full of fruits, everything, infinite resources, you will have fun. But guys, I'm warning you, do not eat the apple on that specific tree. And what they did, you know, that they did a validation test here. Because most of the time we tend to say that testers never assume. You know, we never assume. Assuming assumption is a sin, is the 9th sin or 8th sin for a tester, so that they go and eat that apple, both. I don't know who is the triggering party. People tell that Eve first triggered the other guy, you know. She thought that, okay, let's eat it. I don't know what will happen, but, you know, in the end, they are out of heaven. Validated. And then, you already know that software is very fragile. Why? Because when you just forget some semicolon in the 2 million lines of code, it doesn't work. Oh my God, a very problematic thing. So you need to be very careful. We need to be careful. That's why we tend to say that quality is a thing that takes really so much time. It doesn't happen in a moment. And also quality is more than testing. Am I right? In several companies, I saw titles like QA. I don't, by the way, like that title. Anyone with QA title? Look, you are like me. You don't also like it. As Ukrainian guys. Okay, perfect. The thing is, you know, you tend to say to a guy in a team, you are the quality assurance guy. And what about the rest? The rest are, you know, they are responsible for bullshitting. So the rest of the team, they can do whatever they want. But when we have a production defect, you know, we will come and wake you up in the evening. So no, it is not that good. So that thing, quality, is not a lightweight that you can, you know, grab. It should be distributed among the team members. This is very important. So quality is more than testing. Yes. Also testing is more than testing. So everything is basically more than testing itself as well. Because, you know, testing is sometimes checking, sometimes exploring, sometimes writing down the script, sometimes checking the DB, sometimes checking the protocols, sometimes checking the messages, sometimes doing functional testing, sometimes non-functional testing, sometimes maintainability, performance, security, scalability, whatever. So many types is like an ocean with many things, is more than testing itself. And in the end, as a conclusion, we need testers. And this is my motto. By the way, I steal it from a hotel wall, you know. It says, people who love to eat are always the best people. But I think, okay, sorry for those guys. It was a hotel in Peru, a little bit far away, so they are not aware of it. Anyway, we need those people. And I try to emphasize this. All my career, I, you know, commit myself to that. Testing is a dream job, or maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it was like when you lost all your opportunities, you become a tester. It's like a rehabilitation center, the test department, you know. People who cannot code, who cannot do analysis, who cannot see in front of them, so they come together, build up a test team. Really, they don't want to do that because it is very boring for them. They think that developers are sending rockets to space every day. Is not true. But nowadays it should be a dream job. Otherwise you shouldn't do it. And testers should be, you know, don't be greedy. Don't take all testing to yourself. You know, pass it to the people. Pass it to developers. Sell it to analysts, sell it to designers. Why you try to have all the power in your hand? I am a tester, you know. I need to do everything. So, no, you need to sell it. If I were in your shoes, I would sell it to anyone. Especially also your kids, your, I don't know, the loved ones, darling, whatever. So, wife, husband, they can become monkey testers, you know, also. They are also testers. Even they are not from the field, you can use them as monkey testers. So testing basically should be done by every human being in the world. My perspective. Sorry. Okay, sell it. Yeah. Very nice. You know, I like to do philosophy a little bit. Yeah, testers also don't think that the only thing you would do is just testing or checking some stuff. Why don't you go and define user stories? Why don't you go and define the specifications? Why don't you go and criticize the acceptance criteria? Why don't you go and do code reviews? From that perspective, testers also should be working in a cross-functional manner, from my perspective. Not just only doing tests. You need to do all the other stuff. So with current methodologies like Agile and DevOps, I will have the... You have a question? I will keep it to the end, please. Because, you know, my concentration is very limited, and if it is broken, you will not be happy with my presentation. Please, just store it down, and I will have it. Okay, bigger is not always better. Sorry. In this case, no. If you have 100 millions of test cases, it's a headache, you know. You cannot run it. So the tester's destiny is basically you need to have some selection. You need to do some selection, and in the end, you need to be confident that things work, and you find the defect. But we tend to say that the smarter the test case is, the better you are a tester. So you need to write down smarter test cases, not many. You need to keep it small, because you remember 80 to 20 rule, which is the Pareto rule, telling us that 80% of defects are being captured by 20% of the test cases. So why we are, you know, writing down all those 100 test cases? So keep them. And also commitment, dedication. In a job interview, an human resources specialist asked me a question. I never, you know, forgot that. She told me, "Are you a multitasking person?" You know, it's a very trendy word. I said, "What do you mean by multitasking? You know, what I'm going to do? For example, I'm coding at the same time testing another product and designing with my some other, you know, organs. If you are asking something like that, I am not," I told. She was a little bit offended. In the end, I didn't took the job, but still, I think she got something. I think she will never use that question anymore after me. But still, you know, commitment matters. You need to know that. Okay, we need to go into different areas, yes, but we need to also have some dedication. If you don't have dedication, if you do several tasks at a time, you know, some of those tasks, you ignore them, basically, and you focus on the most lovable one. You do that, it will be successful, others don't. So, commitment matters, but qualification doesn't, from this perspective. Okay, DevOps, very famous stuff. Do you know, I think you all agree with me, there are many misconceptions about DevOps. The first thing is people think that it is done only in conferences, you know. Is a thing just we talk it in conferences. Like we do DevOps, you know, we deliver software every 5 seconds. What about this? We in every 5 minutes. What about it? 30 minutes. Oh, cool guys. Something like that. All lying, you know, not real. So DevOps should be something beyond that, something more. And DevOps, okay, it doesn't mean that in every 5 minutes or 5 seconds you need to deliver software. If you don't need to deliver software in 5 minutes, then don't, basically. Yeah, and some other things like, if you do automation, you do somehow DevOps. No. It doesn't, you know, it's not a necessity to do everything in an automated manner. to say that you are a DevOps organization. DevOps is more a culture rather than being a methodology. You can use DevOps principles between a marketing and sales department as well, like Agile Manifesto. It doesn't tell you to do Scrum. It doesn't tell you to have silly names to your Agile teams like Hobbits, Star Wars, whatever, you know. You can name them as Team A, Team B. So it doesn't written in the 12 bulleted Agile Manifesto. People, you know, try to have some stories behind it. Okay, from DevOps, what I understand it, those people should collaborate more. So if you have more collaboration between a developer and testers, you have better test automation. If you have good collaboration between an analyst and developer, you have better specifications. If you have good collaboration between a tester and a business analyst, you have better acceptance criteria. So those people should come together more often, and the gaps between those teams should be lowered. Currently in the field, I see many development teams, they don't have any knowledge about testing. I see many testing teams, they don't know anything about coding and frameworks. Those people should be cross-trained. Cross-trained. So I want to see some developers in my test trainings, but, you know, rarely happening, unfortunately. Okay. I think you agree. Automation is another thing, you know. You can automate everything. It's not testing. And also testing is not automation from my philosophical point of view. Testing is also not automation. It is beyond that. Basically, if you want to be successful in any kind of test automation, you need to have a solid manual testing as well. Automation is not done for replacing manual testing. It is not killing manual testers. It doesn't tell you that kill and fire your manual testers and, you know, insult them. Humiliate those people. Because you need to just have test automation people. No. We need both. Test automation basically is done for the betterment of software testing or manual testing. Is betterment of that. Many pyramids in the sector. Of course, mine is the best one, but yeah, I don't have that much time to explain it. Very primitively, in this pyramid, I'm talking about you need to have more test cases when you do test automation in the lower levels, like components, units, microservices, etc. And when you have a lower level test automation, basically your aim is to catch bugs. When you go to the higher levels, it happens all the time. When you go to the user interface level, you need to have less and less test cases, but you need to have them as well. Most of the time they are used for regression purposes, and for regression testing, main idea behind it is confidence building, not bug detection, but to build a confidence. So testing has two perspectives. It doesn't have only a perspective just to catch bugs, but also need to create a confidence on the system you are testing. You need to tell people that those areas of the system are, from a point of view, working well. Otherwise, if you just point out defects, yeah, you cannot convince anyone, and it will not be a productive testing. Just with defects, no. So, you need to keep it small. You need to have smaller automation scripts. You need to have them maintainable with those data-driven, keyword-driven stuff. They need to be analyzable, changeable. They need to run rapidly. In many companies, I see people automating like hell, and in the end, they couldn't find time to run those. You know, I have it in many cases. They said, yeah, I asked them, do you do test automation? Of course, the answer is yes. I said, why? Yeah, most probably the answer is because we can. Because we can do it. That's why we do it. And currently we have just 10,000 test cases. But do you know why? In every sprint we can just run 100 of those. Then why did you do that amount of automation? So if you couldn't run it, then you need to skip it. Okay, you do isolation, parallelization, you try to run them in parallel, but in the end you need time. And you need tools. But in the end, tools are not doing tests. You should be the one who is doing a test. There is a famous saying like, a fool with a tool is still a fool, you know. So, if your organization structure is not that healthy, I don't recommend you to invest that much amount of money. This is the periodic table from Exebia, from Holland. Thanks to those guys. It's working, by the way. You can Google it. Okay, let me go to another area. Internet of Things and testing. You know, world is rapidly changing. 90% of data produced in last 2 years. We will have 25 billion connected devices, thanks to God. You know what we would do without those. Very nice. And okay, lines of code doubling every 2 years in the entire world. From that perspective, developers are safe. But from this perspective, testers are also safe. For the last 10 years, defects per line of code is still the same. Sorry, developers. Yeah, you know, sorry. We will be in the picture. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So they still do bugs. By the way, I never dream of a defect-free world. Never. Don't do it. If everyone here will dream of a defect-free world, that may happen, you know. With that energy and synergy coming from this zone, maybe, then we will lose jobs. Definitely. What we will gonna do? Yeah. Okay, world is changing, whatever. Yeah, you know those things, smart cities, smart homes, smart people, smart church, whatever, many kind of things. We want to put that adverb, smart. I don't know if they are really smart or not, but with IoT, hardware testing is now back in the picture. Yeah, we tend to, you know, forget about it. We tend to say that software testing rocks, hardware testing sucks, but now, no. It should come back because you have many protocols, you have many interoperability things, you have many security stuff. You need to test all those things and, yeah, you need to get prepared. Many new things popping up every day. The most attractive one, they showed me a smart t-shirt and I asked them, why is that smart? What it's doing to me? They said it measures the body temperature every 2 minutes and it pushes that message into your watch. So, I don't need my body temperature every 2 minutes, yeah? Sorry, but it is not smart from my perspective. It could be digital. Some electronic circuitry should be inserted. It doesn't make it smart. Okay. Yes. Look, for example, a smart home video. Let me show you some. What else? I will, you know, there is connection doesn't work, but let me translate it into Russian. So, here, those guys, you know, they are thieves in the house, and the guy is in a conference presenting that smartphone with the best thing, and he does it basically. He enables everything in the house remotely, and the thieves, you know, they
curtains, lights, doors.
Yeah,
it even unlocks my car.
Whatever. Yeah.
And the only one with access is me.
Technology is built for human beings, not human beings are built for technology. Sometimes we lost this. So we need to keep it in mind. Okay. Still not. And in the end, we need not to forget that internet is not for things. Internet is for people. So basically, if you forget about it, then I think you will not be in a safe zone. Another funny story, you know, artificial intelligence, very attractive. A software that learns and self-improves. Okay, I think our AI should be less artificial and more intelligent. What do you think? Is a lot of artificial things on it, but it is not that intelligent from my perspective. There is a robot, very famous, Sophia. I don't know if you heard about her. Yeah, they carry her to every place to have some conversation, which is, from my perspective, currently looks stupid. Not that intelligent. Okay, those efforts I appreciate, but in the end, they need to be less artificial. Okay, just the robot is talking. And what we have as a testing, when we have our first artificial intelligence speaker, for example, in the house, what we do, basically, we say, I'm so sorry, but we say, fuck you, in order to test if it is clever or not, And we tend to have a reply like, yeah, I fuck you too, but, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. That's why, because they are not programmed in that way. It will not tell you, I fuck you too. Maybe you want to hear that. I have many friends, non-IT guys. I show them my smartphone. When they first send it, they say, do you want to, I love you. Something, silly things I cannot say here, but, they test it like boundary value testing. They do stress testing on the device. But no, guys, because don't do that, because it is not a smart way to test AI. We have Asimov's, I think you know it. Don't do those things to those, a robot dog could not kick you because there is a robotics code of ethics made up of 3 bullets composed in 1940s by Asimov, and he told that, okay, those things or artificial intelligence algorithms, they may never harm a person. They may never, manage a person. They may never insult or whatever. This is the code of conduct. So if you basically try to have a new framework or a new product, it should be kind in the end. So you need to treat it like that. Yeah. What we have instead is, we have Turing test. I don't know if you ever heard about it. Basically, there is a robot in a room, there is a human in another room, and there is a guy out of the room who is just interviewing both with some questions. And in the end, he will try to say that this is the robot, this is the human. And until now, there is no device that could pass that test till now. You understand it. In the end, you understand that it's a robot. Until now, no. And Japanese guys, they have another test. They have it Tokyo test. Basically, it's like a university entrance examination. Of course, yeah, completed by humans. They try to put a robot to the examination and try to see if it can pass the examination or not. Until now, I think it got a grade about 56, which is not enough for Tokyo University. So that, again, it's still failing. But, those people, they tend to say that in 2021, we will achieve that target. So we will create a robot, basically could enter an examination and pass it and enroll to a university like a human being. We will see. This is to test artificial intelligence. But other than that, we use it in our testing efforts. We use AI in testing to have smarter test cases, to have to find risks in a better way, to prepare data for ourselves. So those things, maybe you heard about those stuff, test automation tools currently that are in use, which are making use of artificial intelligence framework, machine learning framework. So basically what you do, you automate some scripts, then you run them. Based on the results, it will tell you that these scripts are not that important, so these are more important. So let's elaborate on those scripts, and based on the results, it will give you some intelligent, how can I say, insights on the system. And my most favorite zone, user experience. which is the gray zone and which is the broadest testing at all. The thing is, when I say user experience testing, I don't know anyone who already takes some actions or, anyone doing user experience testing here or involved, just a couple. Those tests simply, it doesn't only, user experience doesn't only happen when I'm interacting with the product. It starts before that and it ends after that. So it has a pre-phase and it has a post-phase and also the during phase. Most of the people, they focus on the during phase, but what about, for example, when you are using the Amazon app, when you search a product and you add it to basket and then you buy that, and in the end, it should be delivered to your house on Monday, but Monday it didn't come. And you become angry, you go to the app store and you give 1 star, and you say that this whatever watch didn't deliver to my house, it is late. But it is not because of the user interface, it's not because of the mobile app, it's not because of the database, it's a logistics problem. It is nothing to do with that mobile app. But you gave 1 star, because user experience is very broad. When you are not interacting with the product, it still continues. And from another perspective, it is an emotional testing, where some, here in this zone, it is not black or white, like functional testing. In user experience, for example, you can have a defect report like that to be sent to a developer. Users are getting confused on that screen. Imagine your developer took this defect report. What he or she would do? Would do like, so what? I cannot understand, When we click on the button, it runs. Sorry guys, we couldn't have any problems here. But the problem is beyond that, Not clicking on a button or entering some things on a field, whatever. The thing is, if the users are getting confused on a screen, if they could not decide on what object on the screen to use, is also a defect. We call it a usability defect. You need to also have some, rules to fix those. In another saying, defects are not always program malfunctions. They could be sometimes the things that they may bother users. So from that perspective, it should be a little bit intuitive. But from another perspective, we tend to say that how good is too good, When we tend to write a testing report, it should be somehow qualitative and also quantitative, both. You need to have, for example, you need to measure some metrics like time on task. You need to tell that the third task is like 1.5 minutes long, which is a fact, which is a quantity, which is a numerical statement that you write. When you write it down as a number, it is not an opinion, but it's a fact. It's a good thing when we talk about testing. But in user experience testing, you cannot write down everything in numbers. You cannot tell that, for example, users don't like that in numbers, Maybe you can tell that 75% of users don't like that, yes, but still there is a thing which is qualitative. Like, hate, confused. These are not like out of 100 test cases, 75 of them are failing. This is a different story. And testing, when a human being is doing the test, it is relative. It is subjective from that perspective. For example, you are the one who is doing a test on a system, and I am another one who is doing a test on the same system. We can end up with different results because we are different people. We have different perspectives. We have different mentality. We have different experience, whatever. So from that perspective, still, it is hard to have a report that is just consisting of numbers. Okay, who should be the one doing user experience testing? Testers or users? Yeah, very logically, this is more value added. Of course, as usability or user experience specialists, After a while, you become usability expert. Then you can do those tests without users. Just looking at an application and tell that, okay, these elements are not logically ordered. So this may confuse a user. But still, in the end, you have some assumption. Am I right? You are checking a standard and you tell that, okay, this is not that good, but you are not a user. So the best way is to go to the street. And we have different approaches here. For example, the very first question is, how many users shall we have? Many companies, they tend to ask me the same question. They tell me, you know, we have 25 million customers. I said, so what? So we are curious about how many tests, how many users will be involved in your UX testing. I said, 7. They said, oh, we are a little bit disappointed, you know, because, you know, 20 million is here and 7 tell me something and convince me to buy it from you. Here in usability testing, we don't want to do some statistical work. It's not a statistical study that we will tell that, okay, out of these 7 people, 90% of these 7 people use the product very smoothly. So the rest, 21,999,000 blah blah, will be used it smoothly. You cannot tell it because it's against the statistical theorem, yeah? Because you have very less number of samples here. But what we do instead is, from that 7 people, we try to extract usability defects. That's just we need. So what kind of usability defects we have? We ask to those 7 people, we observe their behavior, and we write it down. And believe me, when you go to 10 million people, they will tell you the same. Because ideas, they are in a redundant manner after a while. After you pass 10 people. Should be like you need to keep every persona, we call it persona, so it's like a user, targeted user. If you have, for example, 3 different user profiles, for each user profile, you need to have like 5 to 10 people. Not more, not less. So this is how you achieve the best. And are you going to do it in a lab or are you going to do it in the wild? You know, 10 years ago when we have that question, we were proud of our laboratories, by the way. We tend to tell people, yeah, did you see my laboratory? Yeah, please come to my company. So we will show you how many devices we have there. There is a room that you can observe people, put them there, torture, whatever. So see what they do. We have many devices, like we can do eye tracking, and we can even capture brain signals with this EEG monitoring device. But imagine you are this lady, come to a session, and in the first minute, as an icebreaker session, we are telling you, okay, please don't be nervous. This will be like drinking coffee in your house, you know. Just be normal, act normal and neutral, and you know, we don't test you. We are testing the product. So, feel free. Anyone under this pressure could be free. Tell me, can you be free in that setup? No. And also, many people asking us, for example, do you do eye tracking? I think you already know it. You know, where the users are looking at. They like that report so much. They want to pay for that all the time. I said, why you are that curious? Because, you know, we did a new design and we want to see where they are looking at. Okay, it's a test for you. I'm doing eye tracking on you. Okay, George Clooney is very handsome, could be very attractive from a perspective, but the output of this eye tracking is this. People are looking at the nose rather than looking at George Clooney, you know. It doesn't mean that nose is more attractive for people, but it is, you know, creating a tension. so that you look at it more than George Clooney. And in the end, some of those reports, it may be not that good for you to have. If you interpret the results in a wrong way, some customer, I never forget those people, they told me, Baris, do you know we are very happy? I said, why? We got the eye tracking results coming from you, and we see that all the people, they are looking at the menu, main menu that we have designed very, recently. I said, do you know why they look? They said, why? Because they don't understand where to click, Very clear. So people not only look for the things that they like, sometimes if they are confused, they just look in order to understand it. So this may be a little bit problematic. And, those clients are really crazy people, and they all the time ask us, what kind of metrics you have out of your usability tests? They try to see that we have a lot of techniques and we use worldwide things. And someday, some client from Japan, they called our company. They tried to talk to a principal guy, who was me, unfortunately, at that moment. And yeah, I was on the phone. They told me, okay, we have a device, which is a very sophisticated device. So we want your company to do some usability tests for us. So from your user observation sessions, what kind of metrics you have? I said, okay, we have logging, we log everything, and then we measure time on task, so that how much time is needed for the task. And then we are doing think aloud. We tend to say users to think aloud while they are doing the task, etc. And also what we do retrospective think aloud, because some users are a little bit shy on the sessions, so they don't speak. After the session, we check the videos together and try to make them talk. And also we are, measuring success rate, whether the task is successful. And in the end, I forgot about asking the product. And in the end, I asked them, yeah, do you mind if you tell me what kind of a product is it? And they tell me, yes, it's a digital closet. I don't know why, but Japanese guys, they are very, their products are very popular. You have many buttons, there is an embedded software in it. When you sit on it, it will do some things to you. I don't know, some good things or some crazy stuff. In the end, you become relaxed, whatever. And after I got that response, I said, okay, maybe at this stage we cannot have time on task. Success ratio, like we go into, okay, very successful. You made it. And we do think aloud, Okay, while you are doing it, it's an enjoyable stuff. So just talk and talk. If you want, after your session, we can have a look at your video. All the things spoiled in the end. And I told them, unfortunately, for your product, only thing we do is we gave them a toilet. We close the door. When they go out, come out, we would tell them, how was it? So this is our user experience testing, and we can report it to you. Okay, they will not come back again. That's why I told it, unfortunately, it was me. Okay, many featured products, but you know that most of the users don't use features like 80-20 rule. Most of the users are really impatient, they delete the products. Most of the users are passing the experience to people around them, and especially the bad news, is faster, always. This is statistically proved. Some people, if they love your product, they become your fans. Even you torture them, they may not go. For example, Spotify, they increase the monthly stuff every month in my country, but, they have more and more clients, customers, whatever. In the end, because they become a love mark. And, users are also mobile. Mobility. Currently, mobile devices are very popular. This is my thing. I say, okay, we carry them always. they are 1 meter away of us. It is, these are the things that they tested on people. If you are 1 meter away from your mobile device, you are not comfortable. Yes? Yeah. You need to know that testing is done on a contextual space. So you need to understand all those contexts. And, it's always on. I remember my story with my first mobile phone. When I broke it down 22 years ago, I go to the repair service. The guy told me, "Are you closing it down in the evening?" I said, "While you are sleeping." I said, "No, should I have to?" He said, "This is not a refrigerator, man. You need to turn it off." But now, you don't turn it off, basically. You use it till the end without, you just charge it and have it, and it's the most private device. From that perspective, testing is important. It's the most private device. You cannot give it to anyone. It's like your arm, From that perspective, people told me, mobile testing, is it so different than desktop testing? Yes, because it's an organ, if it's a mobile device. Can you give it to your wife half a day? Tell me. Girlfriend? Boyfriend? No. It doesn't mean that you are cheating your loved ones, but you cannot, basically. You have some special, messaging stuff, whatever, some other things. And finally, there are always different sides of products. For example, this is a saddle. It makes this guy a horse, and this is like a cowboy, but, in the end, I don't know if they are both happy. Yeah, the guy, the kid, I think he's happy. Yeah, he looks happy, but I don't think that it has perspectives. For example, when you are promoting some users, you may demote some of your users as well at the same time. You need to be careful about that. And there are many, my last slide is, so users have many physical and mental constraints. There are many communities like fatfingers.com. People who have fat fingers, they say we have right to use product because when we click on something, we basically click on everything on the screen. So please make those objects bigger for us. Yeah, the basic rule is 1 centimeter to 1 centimeter. Some people are impatient. They have a community like tooslow.com. So they are like this. So they said that basically if you are using a product, if it is not responding within 2 seconds, we break it, delete it, whatever. You need to take this into consideration. And lastly, some people are easily offended, Like a friend said in the morning, like Facebook puts some dislike button. They have a project, you put some get offended button. If you see something racist or sexist or whatever, so you can push on that button because, people are crazy. So, this is all from me. Hopefully you will have, this is not only fun, but have some serious things. Hope that you have some takeaways for you in your daily work. So, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you, Baris. And actually, we have a time for 2 or 3 questions. Okay, yes.
Hi, thank you for your presentation, and I have just one question. You told about many different scenarios of usability and user experience testing. And are there any principles that are applying with some user experience standards?
Of course. Yeah, here, when you go back to the time, you hit 1990s, where we have usability heuristics composed by Jacob Nielsen. He's a Scandinavian guy now living in Germany. And after that, there are information architecture heuristics from Peter Morville. Then you have UX Cunningham. And then you have, by the way, ISO standards as well. We have ISO 9241, which is a standard for human-to-machine interaction. Is telling you how a machine should be designed in order to serve a human well, and in that standard there is a usability section and also accessibility section for disabled people, also like blind people, etc., and ergonomics as well. And in another, we have ISO 9126, in which we are talking about quality characteristics, and from that quality characteristics map we have functionality, maintainability, efficiency, portability, reliability, and finally usability in that one. So you have many things that are composed. So when you do a research or send me a message, I think it would be easier to send me a message. I will send you the standards so that you can take some steps into the field. Yeah. There is a gentleman in the front. Yeah. Sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for presentation. So I would like to ask you, how would you advise to prioritize like those different testing types in terms of efficiency of use, and in terms of found defects, and how would you advise to use them in addition to existing processes? That's all.
If I understand it correctly, you asked me how should I prioritize test cases while we are doing user experience testing. Which ones are more important, which ones are not important?
I mean,
less important.
we talked about different types of testing, and I would like to just, if I couldn't choose, I have a chance to choose one or two of such testing types, what would you choose?
Very hard question. If you are comparing like functional and non-functional testing, the very basic answer is it depends on what you do, what you test, what are your priorities, and so on. But if you ask me within the UX field, which kind of tests are important, the ones that are mostly used by customers, the ones that are newly built. So when we newly build something, we put it onto production, then it is, wise to test it in production with people. And also, you need to keep it in mind that user experience testing is not a, lifetime story. You need to keep it short. With every user, you need to have just nothing more than 1 hour. So within that 1 hour, you need to give them several tasks and observe what they do, and that's it. You cannot tell them, okay, you sit here in this room, for 4 days, then we will come and, get you out. No. Basically, the thing should be, very, very time limited and time boxed. And from that tasks also, maybe one last reminder from me, not all the tasks you have given to the user should be directed tasks. Like, okay, from this application, please go and register yourself. It's a directed task. You tell them to register themselves and see what they do. But some tasks are exploratory tasks. You can tell them that, okay, you are willing to buy something cheap, so why not you go here and check the campaigns and see if you can find some promo code, whatever, so that you try to initiate some exploratory session, so that you try to leave them a little bit flexible and see what they do. Okay. Hopefully it will be answering your...
Okay, and the last question?
Yeah.
It's more life-related questions.
Life-related?
No.
I like it.
It's about your experience.
So I give you the back. Yes. Life-related. Tell me.
You're the first I've met who was at first a software engineer and then tester. What happened?
I lost opportunities, Yeah, they told me you cannot code well. Yeah, the thing is, how I chose it was I was working in Germany at those years, and in a morning when we are doing our daily stand-up session, my supervisor came to me. They told me that, guys, we have a position in another city, which is a software testing position. I know that you are all developers. Maybe you will be a little bit biased, so you will not accept it. But, you know, it is very nice. Any one of you grab this position, and in the end he told me that, okay, he come to my, you know, near me, he told me, okay, I checked the Jira and see that you are the only developer who are submitting bugs. I think you are the one who should take that job. He told me, you know, behind the scenes. And I you know, as many developers tend to think that, okay, this is a very shallow area. Testing is just pushing a button and checking if the system is working, which is very ignorant, by the way, point of view. I thought that if many people, they are really that ignorant in that space, if I put some effort, I could be visible. This was my, you know, first attraction point, because not all the people are biased for that. When they are graduated from the university, when you go to computer science department, you will never see people telling you, I want to become a tester. You would tell them, are you crazy, you know? I will kiss them, whatever. You do some other things. But in the end, people, they don't know that much things about testing. And still, this field is open for advancement. And we need skillful testers. We need committed testers. We need people who can promote and sell testing rather than criticize it in every coffee break, you know. Yeah, again the same. Yeah, testers, you know us. Redundant work. Every day I repeat it. If you are like that, don't do this job. Okay, maybe you do it for earning money like me, but if you are having fun out of it, I think it's better to keep yourself in this zone. So this was my motto. And yes, thank you.